we need to talk about hiring salespeople. It's one of the hardest things there is to do. I'm actually in New York City today to interview a few directors for our firm, ECA Partners. Hiring high-ticket salespeople is one of the hardest roles out there. It gets even harder when you're talking about a private equity portfolio company. That's because you have super compressed timelines and the stakes are going to be that much higher. In this video, I'm going to walk through the 5 observable traits that I see as an absolute must-have for anybody that you're hiring in a sales leadership role. These would be folks that carry an individual quota but don't necessarily lead a team. This role is all over the place in low middle market private equity portfolio companies. So let's dive in. Before we get started, I'm Ken Canara. I'm the CEO of ECA Partners. We work with private equity firms and their respective portfolio companies on key leadership roles. So the first thing that I see as an absolute must is a killer instinct. We want you to hire people that are super competitive, do not like to lose, they want to win, they're driven by KPIs, they get up in the morning and they can't help it. They're like an Energizer bunny all day long. The key here is that they have a killer instinct. And the way that you can test for this is basically asking them what energizes them. Tell me about the KPIs that they use to measure success. What you're looking for is people that are really motivated by winning, sometimes even more importantly, not by losing, but they're competitive, not necessarily internally, but just in their overall nature in general. That's number one. Number two, and this might seem like a contradiction to what I just talked about, but would be they're a relationship builder. You want people that build real lasting relationships with people. The way that I like to think about this is I always tell people, be intentional, not transactional. If you want to test for their ability to develop relationships, don't just look at their LinkedIn and see how many connections they have. Don't necessarily just, ask them who they sell to. I mean, you should ask them who they sell to and, get a feel for that, but take them to lunch. See how they interact with you. See how they interact with the server, see how they interact with everybody else. If they're really pleasant with you, but they treat the server or wait staff or somebody like that kind of as an afterthought, you're going to learn a lot about how they think about relationship building. Again, intentional, not transactional. The third thing, and this might surprise some of you, but they need to be intellectually curious. Okay, that's a pretty loaded term and something that you don't often associate with salespeople. It's really important. Here's why. If someone is interested and they're able to ask a lot of intelligent questions, then they're going to most likely be a good salesperson, assuming they have all these other traits. Let me give you an example. The very best salespeople tend to ask the very best interview questions about how they can be successful in that particular sales role. So they will dig in deep on historical success. They'll try to understand the dynamics of the buyer. They'll try to understand how you measure success. Basically, what they're doing is they're interviewing to be successful in the role, not necessarily to get the role. And that's how I want you to test for that one. Look for really smart, intelligent questions. Especially with high ticket sales, you want really consultative people that need to get to a solution. That's what's ultimately going to rule the day in high ticket sales. Number 4, and this one's going to seem obvious, but they need to be charismatic. Now, not every salesperson is Mr. Charming, okay? And I'm not saying that everybody needs to be. When I say charismatic, I mean there has to be something that draws other people to this person. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, they're spending their entire time and energy meeting with other people. And if that isn't reciprocated by either your buyer or potential customers, you're going to run into a problem. People aren't going to want to meet with them. And that's ultimately what's going to drive meetings, which is going to drive sales, that sort of thing. What I recommend here, because this one's like really soft and squishy and hard to assess, is have multiple people interview them. Again, as mentioned in my previous videos, don't discuss the interviews between interviews with each other, but have multiple people interview them and try to tease this one out. This one is really hard to assess, and what you just need is multiple people meeting with them to basically see, hey, was there some sort of kind of like energy or draw to them, that sort of thing. You can potentially introduce them to other clients of yours, bring them to a lunch meeting with somebody, see how they interact with existing clients of yours, that sort of thing. But again, that's not always possible and really hard to assess. The 5th thing, and arguably the most important, they need to know who your buyer is. And I'm not just talking about, hey, they understand private equity, they understand multi-site healthcare, they understand manufacturing. No. They have to have a network and have prior experience interacting with your ideal customer profile. The single most important things in sales is not necessarily how many meetings someone can take. It's actually the quality of the people that they're meeting. Because if you're meeting the wrong people, you could have thousands of meetings with those people and never get anywhere. So it's really important that they understand your ideal customer profile and that they've had past experience selling to them. 2 reasons. 1, they're going to come in with an existing network, which is good for you and good for them. And then number 2, they're going to be able to speak the language of their buyer. There's a certain vernacular used in all different industries, and by having past experience, they're going to be able to speak that right out of the gate. They're also going to understand what buyers actually care about. Again, this one's really easy to assess for. Just talk through your ideal customer profile, ask them about who they know in the industry in that particular space, ask them to tell you about who they know in the industry, ask them to tell you about the relationships they have, past successes and failures, that sort of thing. So just to recap, as you know, hiring for salespeople is extremely difficult. 2 main reasons for this. 1 is they're in the business of talking to people all day, every day. So they're naturally going to be better interviewing than most folks. And then number 2, it's really easy as a business leader to think about the ROI. Okay, if I hire this person for X, they're going to bring in X plus Y, right? And so you tend to look at this as a more opportunistic hire than most. Unfortunately, it really doesn't work like that, because a hiring mistake with a salesperson is as costly, if not more costly, than just any other hire, right? Because it's going to take an enormous amount of your time. It's going to be a problem for the team. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to get into it here today, but this brings me to my last point, which is the best hiring advice I've ever gotten as it relates to hiring sales professionals is this: look for reasons to say no. What do I mean by this? You're going to naturally be inclined to be opportunistic as it relates to hiring these folks. But if you look for reasons to say no versus yes, you're going to have a lot more success. And the reason is they're really good at hiding the yellow and red flags. If this video was helpful, make sure to give us a subscribe and a like. If you are bringing on this sort of leader, check out our website, eca-partners.com. Until next time.